Hoka, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of June the 24th, 2022. The Total Replacement Cyborgs of Alita Battle Angel, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek. And with me right now is Lee from Fountain, Colorado. How's it going, Lee?
Howdy, not too bad. How about yourself?
Real good, real good. Yeah, just doing our thing right here in Littleton, Colorado. So just seeing some possible rain coming down and that kind of stuff here pretty soon. But yeah, real good.
Yeah, good.
How are things down there in Fountain?
Oh, not too bad. Pretty good weather. So it's going okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about all the now. There's a lot of cyborgs in Alita Battle Angel, but today we're going to talk about the total replacement cyborgs. And actually, when you look at Gerwishka there, I think he's probably more of an android than a cyborg, but we threw him in there just to be safe. And just because for one thing, he is one of Alita's chief protagonists or antagonists rather. And it wouldn't, any kind of discussion like this wouldn't be the same without Gerwishka in there. Yep, I see David Watson's out there. Cheers, David Watson. Hope things are good there in the UK. I think that's where you are. Okay, let's get to it, I guess. Before we actually discuss the main topic here, I want to put in a couple of plugs. One of them is Undone. I mean, I've started watching that and I've seen 3 episodes, I think, maybe 4, and it is outstanding. This is a really, really good series. And of course, our queen does a great job, but the other actors in there are pretty good too. I mean, they're, it's just just a really well-written story. There's some pretty cool effects in it. I don't want to give too much away, because it will I don't want to spoil it, but I would say 2 of the primary powers that you see from various individuals in there, of course, one of them is time travel and the other one is empathy or being an empath. So, but it's really a solid series. So have you seen this series, Lee? Have you seen any of it?
I saw all of the first season, and I think they came out with the second season, haven't they? If they have, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's out right now. I think it came out about a month ago, I think, and I saw the first episode when it first came out, and then I kind of didn't get back to it, until a couple of weeks later, and then I saw the second episode, and last night I watched the third episode, I think it was. So yeah, just really really super. It's really a great well-written series, that's for sure. So and
I thought so, yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's on Rotten Tomatoes now. I haven't seen the updated status on Rotten Tomatoes, but when I saw it, I guess it was about a week ago or so, the critic score was 93 and the audience score was 100. So I mean, just really outstanding. Just super. And of course, our queen does a great job in that thing. She's really good. It's the way it's put together is really cool. It's shot or actually produced in something called rotoscope, and I wouldn't call it anime, but it's if you like anime, I think you'd like rotoscope pretty well.
It's like they put a sort of an animated overlay over a sort of live action shooting.
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
From what I've gathered, anyway.
Yeah, it's like they overlaid the characters with it, and it's. I mean, when you look at it, you see Rosa. I mean, Rosa's there, and you see the other actors. It's them. It's not some drawn representation of them to where you got to figure out, is this really them? I got to listen to their voice to figure it out and stuff like that.
It's almost like puts me in mind of the cell shading animation style they do for some computer games.
Oh, really?
Almost, because they'll basically take what's already there and then put like an animated overlay over what it actually is.
Well, that's sort of like rotoscope, I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right. And because you could plainly see it looks like it's drawn, but it's not drawn. It's an overlay, like Lee says, it's an overlay of the character themselves, and it's just really well done. The effects are really super in that thing when time travel is involved. I mean, it's really kind of a cool.
Yeah, there's some really trippy scenes in there.
Yeah, there is, and when I guess when the empathy, the empath, does this empathic thing, that's pretty cool too, So I mean, they really they paid attention to special effects, if you want to call it that, and actually the story, and that you don't get lost in the special effects, or the story doesn't get lost in the special effects. So it is really, really super well done. I think this series is. So yeah, I'll probably finish watching it over the weekend or something like that, because I think I got 4 or 5 more episodes to go of it, I think, because I think all 8 episodes are out there. So so all you got to do is get on Prime Video and watch it. So it's really super.
Yeah, and my girlfriend's got it, so I'm going to try and see if I can catch that second season then.
Oh yeah, it's well worth the watch, that's for sure. And like I say, the critics, it's rare when you see the critics and the audience. Well, I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's not a common thing to see the critic score and the audience score to be real high like that. I don't know why that is. I guess it's just sort of I guess it's just the nature of the beast,
Yep, I've noticed a lot of times critics don't seem to have any idea what I like in my movies and stuff. So there tends to be, I think there's a bit of a disconnect. They're looking for some sort of professional sort of classification of things, and most people just want a story they enjoy and a bit of escapism, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And a lot of times they don't get it. Now, some critics do. Not all critics are bad people, obviously. They're doing their jobs, but but a lot of times there is, like Lee says, there's a huge disconnect sometimes. Well, you saw it in Alita, I mean, when it first came out, I remember when I saw some of the early stuff on Alita, even before I became part of the Alita Army, the critic score was like 32 or something like that. And the audience score was always high. It was always like 90 or 92 or something like that. But it seemed like over time, I guess the audience score maybe influenced some of the critics, and the score gradually came up to 61, I think is what it is now. Alita is. So anyway, I guess they're human just like the rest of us sometimes anyway. Yeah. So anyway, yep, really heartily suggest this one. It's really a good series. You guys ought to watch it. I mean, for sure. And also, I want to plug, for our other girl, Elle Lamont. There's I guess Salvage Marines is coming out in July on Crackle, and you got to get a subscription. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a mini-series, was it?
Yeah, this is a 6-part mini-series.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's on Crackle, and I think you got to get the Plus subscription, but you'll have to get on there to see. Crackle.com is where you want to go to. And I think there was some question last week whether or not this was a American-only thing. No, it isn't. I think if you can get to Crackle.com, you can sign up for the subscription, I think. But anyway, get on Crackle.com and find out, and I'm sure, you can start watching. Now, it hasn't started yet. It's not going to premiere for probably maybe 2 or say 3 weeks before it actually comes out. And I know I've started following Salvage Marines. They have an Instagram presence, and they do put a lot of posts out, about Salvage Marine, but they're pretty tight-lipped on, what the story is about. They don't give you too much of that, but they do show you a lot of behind the scenes stills and pictures of the actors and stuff like that. So that part of it's pretty cool, So, and they put a lot of it out there. So, it's I think this is going to be another super series, and I can't wait to see this come out, you know. So, and of course, our other girl, Elle, is going to be on there. She plays a squad boss named, is it Molly Taggart? I think Taggart is her last name. I can't recall the first name. But she plays a squad boss, which is kind of like a sergeant, if you want to think of that. And she kind of heads that up. And I guess from what she told us in the interview is she's not real happy with the company that I guess that is doing the salvage or something like that. She's not real, she's not a big ally of the company or something like this. So she's. I gathered she's a little bit of a revolutionary on this thing, and I think she likes playing revolutionary parts,
Okay.
But yeah, this is going to be super, I think, and I'm definitely going to watch this one too. So, and that's on Crackle. So,
all right.
Yeah. So anyway, any thoughts about either this one or Undone there, Lee?
Well, I probably would enjoy this one a bit more because I'm more of a sci-fi nut, but I still enjoyed Undone. Although I guess, come to think of it, Undone probably does have some elements of sci-fi in it, considering some of the time travel and stuff involved.
Yeah.
But I definitely enjoyed Undone a great deal, so I would like to check this one out if I get the chance.
Yeah, the first season was kind of you were kind of left hanging whether or not she was kind of crazy, or schizophrenic or something like that. The second season, I think, kind of does away with that. It goes right into,
answers some questions about whether or not that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. It does answer that question, and it's a really well-written story. And I can't wait to see this one. This is going to be really, really cool, I think. And of course, our other girl is in there, so that's real good,
Okay.
I'll have to send her an Instagram post, if I guess if Rosa is going to be our queen, maybe she can be our princess or something. Although she may not like that, so maybe I won't say that. So anyway, but anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be super,
Yep.
Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, I think Angelus is working today. I'm not sure he's going to be on or not. He might get on the chat later, or he might come in late. I'm not sure about that, because they are way ahead of us, in terms of.
I just realized something. I may have to give my girlfriend a call. I can't remember if she's actually working tonight or not. I may have to give her a ride into the hospital.
Oh, that's okay, man. No, I mean, we're pretty.
So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself here real quick, give her a quick call.
Okay, man, no problem.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All righty. And for some of you folks, I guess I'm going to, put the link back in the chat there if you want to come on. There's the link. You can come on if you want to talk about Alita. We're about to jump into the topic, and of course, right now, since Lee is kind of out right now, I can talk about Alita by myself forever. So, well, maybe not forever, but for a few hours anyway, so that's kind of a neat thing about it. So, and I see Mikey Bike is out there I think you're in Sri Lanka, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. So but anyway, howdy. And I guess that's it. I guess we can jump right on into the main topic here, and that would be, of course, our first cyborg, which is certainly our number one cyborg. And by the way, I put this in alphabetical order, but whether I put it in alphabetical order or not, Alita is our number one cyborg for sure, And, she is a total replacement cyborg, as we all know. Now, I have two pictures of her here because in this movie, most of the movie, actually, there's, she's got two bodies in most of the movie. Now, there is a third body, and that's the motorball body, but I didn't put that in here because I kind of ran out of room on the slide, But, she's got that antimatter microreactor heart, which kind of gives her incredible power, especially in that berserker body. I mean, it's pretty incredible in her doll body, really. I mean, she could probably, beat the crap out of every human on Earth in her doll body, but in her berserker body, that is like superhero level, type stuff. Actually, in her doll body, she's pretty close to superhero right there. Although she is not a superhero. We've all talked about that on several streams before. But, the thing about her is she is what I like about Alita in this movie is that she is like a real person. I mean, she doesn't have that Superman or Batman, for that matter, archetype. She's not a binary good or bad or whatever it is. She has shades of gray in there. But she's a person. She's like us. And even though she's a cyborg and she's probably 98% machine, she is a human in every regard. She's got a human brain. She has human feelings. She definitely identifies with humans. She's got a real care for, other people. Certainly likes dogs, as we saw, with the little stray, and I think mostly she is a good person. Now, I've said on this stream several times that, Alita can go sideways on you for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like she's bipolar or anything like that. She's not that. It's just her training, makes her kind of, drawn, as Ito would say, drawn to conflict. I mean, if she sees something bad going down, she automatically acts. It's not like something she sits there and thinks about it and says, oh, am I going to get in this or whatever? She just acts. And we saw evidence of that even at the beginning of the movie when that centurion, was kind of stomping through the marketplace, and she got in her fighting position right away. So, and she just acted there. And of course, when Hugo tackled her, she still went and rescued that little dog. She didn't have to think about it. I mean, who of us would have jumped under that big monster, robot? But she did. She didn't hesitate. She just did it, So I think that's one of the things about her, that when I say she can go sideways, it's more like she'll just act when she has to act. She doesn't think about it. She just does it. And of course, she's got that military training in her background. She is incredibly strong, as we've seen. I mean, being able to pick up that gatling gun, of course, which I calculated to weigh 600 pounds with one hand. I'm not sure there's any weightlifter on Earth that can pick up something that weighs 600 pounds with one hand and just hold it, easily hold it for 2 seconds, like she did, and then throw it the way she threw it. I don't know of anybody. I know I see a lot of big guys when I compete, and I've never seen any of them be able to do what she did. Now, it's a movie for sure, but I have never seen anyone that could do that, not with one hand. Now, certainly some of the big guys can squat 600 pounds. They can do that, but they can't hold 600 pounds with one hand like she did in her berserker body. And of course, she's really fast. In that scene where she's taking down those centurions, I calculated that her average speed in that factory was 125 miles an hour. Now, that's with her jumping, turning, stopping, swinging the Damascus blade, changing directions to run and stuff like that. That is incredibly fast and also doing all those activities. Now, we know in the manga, in her berserker body, she can run Mach 6.8. Now, I don't know if you folks know what that is, how fast Mach 6.8 is, but that is roughly a mile a second. So, I mean, think about being able to run 1 mile in 1 second. That's what she's doing, that's her in the manga. Now, that's in the manga, in her motorball body, we didn't get much on that. We just saw her in it. We didn't see her actually do anything in there. But I suspect, you know, that thing being, you know, probably optimized for motorball competition is probably pretty fast, you know, on a motorball track, and you know, probably has some strength to it too. Although I would dare say probably not as strong as her berserker body. And then of course we've seen her in other bodies, you know, in the manga anyway, in a tuned body, and in a civilian body, even a real body. She's in a human body too, in the Last Order. So I'm not going to say any more about that, or else I'll spoil that. But she's very much a human, that's for sure, you know. And of course, that's our girl, you know. I mean, she's number one in all amongst all of us Alita Army types. So I guess the main thing I like about Alita is the fact that her perseverance and her determination is probably one of her best qualities. I mean, you know, when she sets her mind to something, if she wants to do something, it's going to be pretty hard to deter her from achieving that, you know, that goal or that objective, because of her determination is just way off the charts. And, you know, we saw that with her fight with Gerwishka, you know, where she was, you know, literally cut in half, and you know, one of her arms cut off and all that. She still had the determination to ram her hand in his eye, which of course made the Creaky fall in love with her for sure, you know, especially with that F Your Mercy scene, you know, or as we said a few weeks ago, forget your mercy. Yeah, forget your mercy, my rear end. But anyway, just a really determined person, and generally a good person. You know, now there are some side stories in the manga where, and even during the Last Order in a couple of places, she's pretty tough, you know, to kind of deal with, you know, in terms of you know, her personality. And I guess when she meets Figure 4, she's pretty rough around the edges there. And of course, Figure 4 kind of gets her back in touch with her humanity, you know. And we've talked about that before, you know, about how Figure 4 is really, you know, her best match. So anyway, that's it for Alita. Now, by the way, if anybody wants to come on, if you want to say something about Alita, even if it's I love Alita, you can just come on and say that. Just click on that link right there, and you can come on and tell us about Alita, what you think about Alita. Otherwise, you can type it in the chat, and I'll put it up on the screen so we can discuss about that one. Let me see if I can see anything else about Alita. You know, certainly we talked about her being her military. She's a hunter warrior. You know, we know that. We know she's a pro motorball player by the end of the, you know, she starts out playing motorball in the streets, of course, and then she's, you know, second league champion by the time she gets, by the end of the movie. Oh, you're back, Lee.
Yes.
Cool. How's your girlfriend?
They've got a little bit of drama going on over there, but it's apparently nothing they weren't able to handle. So.
Drama at work? Really?
Well, not at work, over at home.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it turns out I don't have to take her to work until tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool.
So she's got today off as well.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I was just doing a rundown about, you know, what I think about Alita and what my observations of her characteristics are. And I talked a little bit about her perseverance and determination and her physical abilities, of course. And, you know, basically how, you know, she's a very empathetic person. She is a person, you know, and extremely good fighter for sure. So anyway, that's kind of that's one of the things David Watson is bringing up here, that he's having a hard time. Having a hard time accepting how fast she is. You know,
he's saying that he's never been able to accept that movement speed seems too impossible, because he sees her reactions being as hypersonic, so she could dodge bullets.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I calculated her reaction time when that Centurion fired that bullet at her, and it was less than 10 milliseconds. So I mean,
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking fast right there. That's about 20 times faster than the human, you know. So, and it's 10 milliseconds to be the high on that. It might be 5 or something like that, you know.
I would have liked to have heard your thoughts on her characteristics and stuff as far as that goes, because one of the biggest.
I can repeat a little bit. Yeah.
Well,
I can repeat a little bit of it.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm on a chapter where I'm focusing more on her as a person, and I've been stressing whether or not I've actually done justice to her character or if I just missed the mark completely.
Okay. Well, you probably got her character nailed down pretty good. Now, I haven't read your fanfic, so you'll have to put in the chat, if you don't mind, put the URL or the link in the private chat, and I'll put it up on the.
I will attempt to do so.
Okay, and I'll put it on the public chat, and everybody can go read it, because I'd like to read it too. I'd like to see your take on it, because I've read Maxie's fanfic, you know, and his is kind of a continuation after the movie, you know.
Yeah, I kind of think his is probably a better version of a story, but he's also a professional writer. I'm just some guy who's writing a story, so.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. But anyway, to my thoughts on her, just to repeat a little bit, is that I was telling everybody that she is basically a good person, but she's kind of shades of gray. She has her good moments and her bad moments. She can definitely go sideways on you if you're especially if you cross her, you know, she can go sideways on you in a millisecond, you know, and then you're pretty much done for, you know. And I guess one thing I didn't say to folks is that when you look at her, particularly on the left, you would have a tendency to underestimate her, you know. I mean, because, you know, look at her. She looks like a 14 or 15-year-old girl, you know, and you would.
Yeah, she looks like a teenage girl, and
you know, and
impressive there physically, but
and
you see her in action, and she's just tearing everything to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, she just beat the crap out of those 3 cyborgs in her doll body. She beat the crap out of them in the alley. You know, I can't imagine what she'd have been able to do to him in her berserker body. I mean, it would have been ridiculous.
I think the amount of time it took her to beat Grushka and the other 2.
Yeah.
Well, the amount of time it took her to beat one of the cyborgs in her doll body is how much time it would take her to beat all 3 of them in a berserker body.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But anyway, I was telling them that she has the ability. I remember calculating how much that Gatling gun, or actually it's more like a Gatling cannon, really, a cannon other than.
From what I saw of the bore size, it looked to be a heavy caliber machine gun.
Oh yeah, I calculated. I calculated that or measured it.
Cannon would be probably in the 20 millimeter range. And
actually, that bore size is more like 100 millimeter, because I compared it to the Gal 19, which is a military Gatling gun.
Really?
And it's much bigger. You know, I mean, the barrel on that thing is much bigger. Now, could my calculations be off? Certainly. You know, I can make mistakes. But
I wasn't thinking of just the barrel, because the barrel thickness can also encompass the material it's made of. The bore size didn't look that big, but if it was bigger, then
maybe so. You know, well, it was hard to measure because you didn't get to see the end of it that much. You know.
Yeah, they didn't give it real good pictures of it.
So I estimated it being 100 caliber. You know,
but I was also going off the impacts of the rounds when it would hit something. The impact looked about the equivalent of what you'd see off of like a 7.62 millimeter machine gun or something. Maybe high velocity rounds.
Could be. But anyway, based on its size and the size of the gun, and you know, I compared that to the Gal 19, which is like say a military Gatling gun, you know, and it's. That Gal, I was assuming that the density of the materials was about the same as it is in the Gal 19, and the size of that gun, it was I estimated that the gun weighed 600 pounds, because the Gal 19 weighs 139 pounds. So, and it's much bigger. The gun she was holding was much bigger, you know.
Yeah.
Once again, that's an estimate. I could be wrong, you know. And let me get to this private chat here so I can get your. Yeah, folks. Here's I'm gonna copy that. That's it's in the chat there. Here it is. If you want to go read Lee's, Lee's fanfic, there it is. So go check it out. Let me put that in my. I want to copy that into my. Let's see. I'll put it in here, I guess, because I do want to read it. I want to. Because Maxie was supposed to finish his and he hadn't done it yet. So, and I remind him all the time about it because he kept after me about, well, Creek, when are you going to finish reading my fanfic and all that? And I was kind of plodding along, a chapter here and a chapter there, and stuff like that, And then all of a sudden I said, okay, Max, I'm going to fix you. I read like 3 chapters in one day. So anyway, and I sent him a DM, I said, hey, I'm finished reading the fanfic. Where's volume 11, or chapter 11, and he.
Yep.
So anyway, I was able to calculate, for her holding that gun like that and calculating the kinetic energy of what the bullets, and the recoil would do and stuff like that, that she could probably curl 800 pounds, in her berserker body.
Mm-hmm.
And as a general rule, and this is a very general estimate, but if they can generally bench press 4 times what they can curl. Now that can drastically vary from person to person, but in that case, that means she could bench press over 3,000 pounds, and probably squat over a ton, So I mean, she's strong, there's nobody on earth that can lift that kind of weight, I think the world record at deadlift is 1,300 pounds, and she could probably deadlift 2,500 pounds or something like that, more, double. Yeah, there you are, Maxie. I see you out there. Where's that chapter 11, Maxie? So anyway, but that's cool, Max. It's cool. But anyway, yeah, just for your thoughts there, Lee, if you're going to add some more to the story, Alita's strong. She can curl 800 pounds, bench press 3,200 pounds, probably deadlift.
Or physical strength and speed, I think I've got pretty good on, because that video you did where you did those calculation stuff,
oh, yeah.
I watched that one a couple of times, and it combined with everything I saw in the movie, I think gave me a pretty good idea of her ability to, say, drop kick an engine block through a basketball hoop at half court.
That's
not quite that strong, but it's up there. It's way up there.
That's pretty badass right there. Yeah. Well, that micro reactor heart, like I guess Alejandro was saying right there, it gives her a lot of these extraordinary powers. Like that that strength. So.
Well, I think more specifically the power in the artificial muscles requires a lot of energy, so the heart makes it possible for those things to work.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you put the heart in the doll body, it's not going to provide that much extra ability because the limitations of the body are still going to apply.
Yeah, the limitations of the body are going to constrain that, isn't it? Although I would say that the power of the heart would probably take it'd probably take the limitations of that doll body to its limit.
Push them up a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be anything like her berserker body or even say her motorball body.
If you take if you take the antimatter reactor out, I think her berserker body would end up losing a lot of its capabilities.
Yeah,
because
I think so.
Have power it would need to draw on to keep those systems working at optimal levels.
Yeah, because when she fought the cyborgs, I was able to calculate. I didn't put this in the video you saw, but when she did that flying sidekick on Romo, she basically jumped 30 feet, to kick him like that. And you saw when she kicked, when she did that, whatever that double stomp kick against the wall on Nisiana, that was probably at least 20 feet, you know, and she jumped it with ease, you know. Now in her berserker body, who knows how far she could have jumped to kick Romo? Maybe, who knows, maybe 100 feet. I don't know, you know, because I wasn't able to figure that out. But and I would say also, Lee, I don't know if you got this in your fanfic either, is that Alita is really a really compassionate person. She's
I've actually been struggling with that part a little bit, mainly because I'm trying to balance out the fact that in both the manga and the movie, after Hugo's death, she does go a little bit dark. So I've been trying to have her be a little bit more standoffish and kind of cold a little bit to some small degree, simply because she was putting a lot of, well, to me at least, it seemed like she was putting a lot of emotional distance between herself and others after all the pain she had experienced.
Yeah, if you read Maxie's fanfic, you kind of get that feeling too, you know, that she's still recovering from Hugo's death, and it's made a profound impact on her, you know. So she's not the same person, at least mentally or emotionally, that she was when Hugo was alive, you know.
But I'm also trying to still show that she does have some of that, because my story is also taking place a few months later in the timeline than his as well. So there's a little bit more, I guess, recovery time there for her.
Yeah.
But I'm still struggling, trying to be sure that I'm doing justice to her character, because I just have a lot of doubts as to whether or not I'm actually doing that.
Well, you know, Hugo was her first love, or at least the first love she remembered, because we don't know what, she don't remember hardly anything from Mars. You know, maybe she had a boyfriend on Mars, but we don't know. You know, I didn't see anything in the Mars Chronicles about that, but we don't know. I don't know what's in volume 8, but I think we all remember our very first love, and it was you know, it can be pretty traumatic, you know, when you lose that individual. Particularly in her case, where she loses him through death. You know, I mean, that's pretty tough.
She was trying to save him, had him in her hands, and still wasn't able to keep him from dying.
Yeah, that's right. Let me welcome Chaos Nova. How's it going, Chaos? Yeah, I think you're muted there, Chaos, I think. Oh, he must have had to step away. Angelus, I guess you're at work. I see you're in the chat, so that's cool.
Sorry, a little busy. What's up?
Yeah, no, not much. I was just welcoming you on the stream. We've been talking a little bit about Alita, about, you know, her a little bit about her personality, you know, about her physical abilities, and, you know, her emotional state and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, that's the script I need to go back on about Last Order Chapter 12.
Yeah,
I was going to resume writing that. I just kind of got lost when everything picked up.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to try and think about what her and the other characters are thinking when I'm trying to write the chapters out.
Yeah.
A lot of it in Last Order Chapter 12 is left to your imagination, pretty much. I mean, you know, I guess there's some obvious parts like sad, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm assuming when you say Chapter 12, you probably are looking at the original,
the end of Last Order Volume 2. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she's kind of in a dark place, and that's kind of what Lee was saying. He's written his fanfic around you know, her being in sort of a dark place, you know.
I mentioned chapters 11 and 12 because that's another bad one.
I forgot that.
That's one part where you learn that the original Lou is dead. Chaos gets run over by the car and all that other stuff.
Yeah, she's pretty messed up after Hugo, I think. I think that kind of twisted her brain around a little bit, I think. She's you know, once again, she's kind of young. She's young, you know. I mean, she's not, you know, she hasn't gone through a lot of the life, or at least she doesn't remember a lot of the life experience, you know, that she had perhaps on Mars, if there was any more than what we see.
Yeah, that's true. If she's actually been through a lot of this stuff, it would have reset all that, and she lost it.
Yeah, that's right. So she's basically, I mean, I always contend Maxie thinks that Alita's 19 in her berserker body. I think by the time she loses Hugo, I think she's like, in terms of her mental age, I think she's more like in her early 20s at that point. At least it kind of looks that way to me. You know, here she looks about 19 or 20 in that picture right there, maybe 21, you know. But yeah, I think she's a young woman as compared to there you see on the left, rather, she's a teenager, you know. Now the movie, we don't really have a concept of how long the movie runs in the
well, you see all of, like, with the time lapse of the clouds and the and the snow, you see that it's obviously been quite a bit passing by after Hugo falls. Yeah. You see the time lapse and you see it go from summer to autumn, snow, and then or winter, and then back to spring with the Zalem and the shadows. So it's an interesting little effect there.
Yeah, it's not only that too. It's also, you know, when she plays when she goes to what she thinks is the second league tryout in the novelization, it's several weeks, you know, that while Hugo is training her, you know, to be how to play motorball, you know. Now you don't get that sense in the movie because they had to cut a lot of that out. If you remember, I think last week or week before we were talking about how the movie was 2.5 hours. They had to chop a half hour out of it.
It's like exactly 2. And I mean, you could have like added, because I mean, there's the whole Hugo backstory in the specials, like Alita's World, Iron City.
Yeah.
But you could have given, you know, it only took 2. I calculated this. Like, I actually took a stopwatch today and timed this, and it takes 2.5 minutes for Ito to explain his whole story.
Yeah.
If Ito can do that, Hugo, I don't think he even spends that much narrating in Iron City extra.
Yeah. Well, also, you know, when they're walking down there, when she first goes out into Iron City, and he says, you remember the big war I told you about? There was a period of time when they were in the house, or at least before they started walking like that. Who knows how long that was? Probably a couple of hours, maybe, but at the best, you know. But my point is this, is that we really don't have a good clue for exactly how much time passes in the movie. Now, yeah, you get like maybe 2 months or something like that, 6 weeks perhaps after Hugo dies. You know, perhaps, but we really don't even know that for sure, you know. So, you know, so Alita's has had time to kind of, you know, for her, I guess, darkness to actually, you know, get even deeper, you know, after Hugo dies, you know, because she does think about him a lot for sure, you know, and like say, it's her first love. So she's, you know, she's definitely going to be, it's going to make a profound impact on her, you know, whether he had died or not, you know, it would have made a profound impact on her. So, you know. Okay. Well, anyway, that's our girl, as I like to say. She's, you know, good person, basically, can go sideways on you, physically very fast and strong, as we talked about, empathetic. But of course, after Hugo dies, she goes to a dark place. Really sad, almost to the point, I would say, of depression, you know. And you know, that's kind of her in a nutshell, I guess. Okay. Anyway, Maxie says that, yeah, it's been 2 months. Well, I think that the announcer says in only a few months, I think. Maybe he said 2 months, but I thought him to say a few months.
Yeah, that's what I got too, was like somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 months or so.
I guess I don't want to do too much of a tangent, but I wonder if Zalem in the movie has weather control. I got it because I was watching The Giver 2 weeks ago with starring Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
And in The Giver, okay, there's weather control inside the special town, but once you leave, there can be winter. So I'm wondering if the reason for winter in the sky during the time lapses because they was always doing weather control. Because I mean, Panama City is equatorial.
Yeah, that's right. It's not gonna. You're not gonna have much of a winter down there. You know, I mean, you'll have a wet season, but you won't have cold, snow, you know, type thing. So,
well, considering their other rather high levels of technology they've got and their ability for energy control and all the other stuff, it's probably not far outside the realm of possibility. And yeah, Max Tack saying it. Yeah, Zalem does have weather control, so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely have that. Well, being 500 years in the future, you would expect them to have weather control. Yeah, I would think, you know, 540 something years. So, you know, yeah, they would probably have weather control. I think, and Maxie, if Maxie was here, he could correct me, but I think the premise was in the manga, or at least what we saw in the movie, that it was Kansas City is where Zalem was over. Now, the problem I had with Kansas City is I've driven through Kansas City many times, and there are no mountains around Kansas City. I mean, there's.
I'm wondering if they meant, was it the Kansas one or the Missouri one?
It doesn't matter. There's no mountains. There's hills. There's a few little hills around, but that's nothing that looks like a mountain.
Not really high, definitely, no.
Yeah, and that's why when I first saw the movie, I thought, God, that kind of looks like around Denver. You know, that's kind of what I thought, you know, and Denver and Kansas City are roughly, you know, similar longitudes, you know, so I don't know, or longitude or latitude.
Latitude is north and south, longitude is west.
Okay, yeah, so it'd be latitude then, yeah. So, but anyway, it is what it is. But the problem you would have with it either being Kansas City or Denver is that, you know, you can't get a natural geosynchronous orbit like you would have with Jeru up there.
Right. But the manga explained there's multiple rings that occasionally interlock. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I think in the manga too that there was some sort of.
Well, there were multiple rings. There are multiple rings that line up, so they're like cross at a point. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Well, I was also going to say too, in the manga, I remember there being a catastrophic meteor impact that caused the Earth's rotation to shift. Yeah. So that might have something to do with it as well.
But the movie assumes there wasn't. The movie assumes it was just basically Earth and the Earth, Martians were just nuking each other. Yeah. It's a nuclear winter.
Yeah. Yeah, latitude sound. Angela says latitude sounds like a ladder. Yeah, that makes sense. Hadn't thought of that, Angelus. See if Angelus was on the stream.
Thanks, Angelus.
Okay, any more thoughts about our girl Alita? And of course, since Angelus is not here, I better bring this up. Yeah, she's got uwu.
I mentioned I've got another episode of our uploads, so stay tuned next week on Monday.
Right. Yeah, we'll do. We'll be on the lookout for that, Chaos. Yeah, Angelus, our girl's definitely got that uwu going. That's for sure. I mean, she's good looking, and of course it doesn't hurt that Rosa's pretty as well, so you didn't have to really take that too much, I think, so yeah, I think Hugo was kind of a dumbass, until the very end, but anyway, that's the way it works. So okay, guys, any more thoughts about our girl?
Nothing really jumps out at me at the moment.
Yeah, I think we kind of described her pretty good, I think.
Although I think impulsive would be another trait to attribute.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, you know what? We talked about this a few months ago about her, is that...
And stubborn.
Yeah, she's stubborn, but we talked about she does have a strategic side to her about thinking planning or whatever. But yeah, once she gets into the fight or whatever it is, yeah, it's pretty reactive at that point. I think.
She doesn't hold back at that point.
Yeah, she's pretty much into it at that point, So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's exactly right, Angelus. Our queen is really beautiful, and so is our girl. She's got that uwu going. So Den's doing that waifu or best girl thing he's doing, I guess, on Twitter. I don't know how many of those he's come out with, but I think he put Alita up against, I can't remember who it was. And of course, anytime you get the Alita army wanting to guess who's the better girl between Alita and any other girl, it's going to be a blowout. That's not, it wouldn't be fair, I guess, but that's okay. All right, Gerwishka. Now this guy right here, I thought about this guy being more of a, I guess, more of a. Oh, let me put Chaos as. I want to put Chaos.
Well, that was from that private thing was from when we talk about the barjack, because it's just saying that during the Cold War they actually made a nuclear train. It wouldn't explode like a mushroom cloud. It would just involve the uranium melting. But they fill it up with water, and the water produces steam, which runs the steam engine.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the nuclear train during the barjack part.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, there's the link if you guys want to go check that out. Okay, I guess with Gerwishka, I guess I had a tendency to think of him more of as an android, because I remember when Alita cut him in half, I didn't see any red blood, and had he been a total replacement cyborg, say like Alita, where his brain was human.
The other ones had blue blood, like Japan and people in the bar, they sprayed blue blood.
Yeah, that's right.
I could think of a couple of reasons why they wouldn't have the red blood.
Yeah, I can too.
One, the PG-13 rating. And another one could be also the only part of him that would have the red blood would be his brain.
Yeah.
And her plasma sword probably would have cauterized all that.
Oh, probably so, so.
Possibly.
But whether he's an android or a cyborg, either one, I can go either way. But I would say that, when we put something like this in here, when we're talking about all these different characters, particularly, any of these characters have machine parts, you got to put Gerwishka in there. There's just no way you could, leave him out, I think. So, I just think, that he's being Alita's, initially, I guess he's Alita's primary antagonist. Of course, as time goes on, it becomes more and more. Then you get the idea it's Vector. Then it's Nova after that. So, but this guy. Now, I don't know if anybody has read the novelization or listened to the audio book, but in the novelization, Gerwishka is a motorball pro, and he was like the kind of the number one contender, I guess, if you want to think of it, for final champion, and he just goes off the rails. And he can't keep it together, or something like that, if you want to think of it.
They thought he was dead.
Yeah, they did think he thought he was dead, but I'm talking about in the novelization. He just
I'm just referring to the bar in the movie where the guy says, "Gerwishka, I thought you were dead," and he just impales the guy with the grind cutters.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So, but he was a motorball, a prime motorball contender for final champion, which would tell me that maybe he was going to give Joshigan all he wanted, in terms of being final champion. But he kind of goes off the rails. Probably drugs had something to do with it, for sure. And of course,
a pretty common occurrence. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I guess he was pretty much down in the sewers all the time, down there in the underworld, and the way that thing looked around there, that environment, I could see that'd make anybody nasty, I think, So, and in some ways, I guess, you know, in the novelization, or maybe not in the novelization, but in the manga, you know, he's Makaku, of course. And Alita kind of feels sorry for him, you know, a little bit when she fights him, you know, and you know, he's basically, you know, he's in the manga, of course, he kills people and eats their brains for endorphins, you know, kind of like Angelus points out in the chat. But you know, he's, you know, Alita kind of felt sorry for him. You know, now in the movie we didn't get that because, you know, Alita was chopped to bits, you know, and she still launched herself at him like that. Mm-hmm. And of course, he's kind of, when you look at him in the movie, he's just really pure evil. You know, he's trying to, you know, he's working with Nisiana and Romo. They're killing people, you know,
right,
for their human parts or whatever. And he's a willing participant in all that. You know, a guy that could be motorball champion, you know, is now a criminal. You know, he's just a murderer. You know, but you know, there is no good. You know, in the movie, there's no good side to this guy. He's just basically a bad individual. He's a criminal. He's a murderer, and certainly tries to kill our girl. You know, and of course,
right.
It doesn't work out too good for him at the end.
And like Angelus, what it's called is that Grushka is the ostensible, or he's the straightforward villain that they push in your face. Feed him chocolate, you little breakheads.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Destino. We'll offer chocolate next time we see him. Oh boy, that's cool.
Yeah, but they have the ostensible villain, which they push in your face.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the villain, but then there's the true revealed villain. Trying to think of an example of this, like Event Horizon, big slasher film, but they ostensibly put one villain in your face, or at the end you get revealed that it's really the someone else that's the villain that's in charge of all of it.
Like a puppet master who's been
right.
Things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what Angelus was saying a while ago, you know.
Well, yeah, he's ostensibly the villain, but it's the real main villain is revealed to be Dusty Nova.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, Nova can ride him, you know, because he's got that telepresence chip in his brain, you know. So, you know, and certainly that probably has an effect on him, you know. So, and you know, one thing about this guy too, I think, is that he's this is just my opinion. Maybe you guys can speak up on this, but he's used to being top dog. You know, he's the biggest, baddest guy around. And all of a sudden, this little girl pops up and takes his arm off, you know, and just literally, you know, it was so funny watching her stalk him down the alley, you know, with that rocket hammer. You know, little bitty Alita, you know, this big giant guy, you know, it's probably 3 meters tall. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's kind of backing away from her, you know, and it's really funny looking, you know.
Yeah, I definitely got the impression he was one of those people to sort of glory in his strength, as it were.
Yeah,
and his power.
Yeah, and Alita just took all that away from him, you know, took his
and
arm
not just
off.
His physical strengths either, but the fact that he's backed up by a powerful entity like Nova that is protecting him from the system.
Yeah. So he probably thought he could do anything with impunity, you know.
I mean, it's like The Boys. The superheroes are real like assholes to people, but they're powerful, so they don't really care.
Yeah, well, it's like Homelander, isn't it?
Well, yeah, Homelander's the worst and strongest of all of them, but they're all pretty much really obnoxious and crude and cruel to people, all of them.
Yeah, they're all pretty bad. I've only seen a few episodes of the first season, but yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. I've seen a few clips. I guess not to get too far away from Alita here, but I saw a clip where I guess Billy Butcher and Soldier Boy were giving Homelander all he wanted, you know, in that one fight they had with him. So he ended up flying off. I guess he figured he didn't want to. It might be a little too much for him, maybe, you know. So anyway. But yeah, I think Grishka is one of those guys that, you know, he's used to having his way. He thinks he can bully or, you know, kind of, you know, just kind of do whatever he wants. And, you know,
Well,
yeah,
I was just going to say, up until he met Alita, he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, that's right. And here's this little bitty 4'11" girl that takes his arm off and cracks his innards and makes him back up. You know, I mean, you know, that's got to be that would have to have been a wake up call. And the reason why I bring that up is because, you know, there's that scene, you know, he jumps through Sharin's or Vector's window, and you see them in the lab, and you know, they pull his core out, you know, the body, you know.
Well, that's the maggot body. You know, it's a homage. That's an homage to the maggot body.
Yeah, that's right. And he says he wants to rip her in half. And of course, when you know, after the fight scene and when she rams her hand in his eye, you know, and it gives him another wake up call, he tells, you know, Nova / Vector, you know, that he's only lives for her death. So this is a guy that doesn't take defeat very well. I don't think, you know, I think he doesn't like losing, I guess they would say, you know. So
that's the impression I got. Yeah.
Yeah, he's psychotic, that's for sure, you know. He's definitely you know, definitely just thinks he's the big, yeah, this is right, Angelus. Absolutely. Forget your mercy. Yeah, really. So any other thoughts about this guy though? They didn't really spend a lot of time on this guy, did they, in the movie? I mean, he was only.
They could have put a few more minutes into him to give him a little bit more of a fleshed out backstory, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, they had to cut a lot of stuff short. It really would have helped the movie, I think, to have another at least 10 minutes, if not the full half hour that they cut out.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty tough in a 2-hour movie, you know. I mean, that's, you know, because, you know, Alita's the main character anyway, you know, so.
Yeah.
And they didn't really go into her backstory too much. I mean, except for her, you know, being in the military, that's going to be about it. You know?
To be fair, they're not going to do that much in only the first 2 chapters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Makaku is, yeah, that's the analog here. You know, that's the manga character Makaku. So, yeah, Makaku in the manga, you know, is the one that killed Kanuba, I guess. So, and I mean, there was a scene in there, I guess, where that's one, I can't remember who it was, one that thought that Makaku was Kanuba and wanted to get his autograph, and Makaku kills him. So, you know,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, wow. So, you know, that fits Grishka's, you know, that fits his personality and archetype pretty good, I think, you know,
yeah.
or Grishka fits
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And we saw that. Yeah, he saved. Yeah, that's right. Nova actually saves Grishka, doesn't he? I mean, he says.
I would
Kaku, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Grishka said, but he wasn't specific on how Destiny Nova found him in the sewer, so I don't know. I always thought it was just maybe they dumped him in there after he died in the motorball game. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he did say he did say he rebuilt him. So I mean, that's
right.
Yeah. So and he was his master. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, as a character, I really like this guy though. It was really added something to the. You know, really added something to the movie, I think. All right. Any other thoughts about our buddy Grishka?
I think that about covers it.
Yeah. Well, this guy, certainly, we really didn't get much of him. I mean, we saw him on the motorball track a little bit. And then we saw him being repaired, like you see him there. And then I guess
I'm certainly hoping we'll see more of him in the sequel.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now this guy here is, you know, now in the manga, you know, he's kind of got. I think he's more super powered in the manga than he. Of course, we don't know in the movie because we just don't know. We didn't see enough of him, but in the manga, he's pretty badass, in the manga, and of course,
I think in the manga, he's practically overpowered.
Yeah. And I think Nova even kind of, juices him up even from that, but we don't know in the movie, but what's going to be cool in the sequel is Alita taking on Joshigan. That is something they just got to do. They definitely have to show this rivalry between the two of them, And you know what? I also think Alita is a little bit of a fangirl with him too, because I know in the novelization, she's kind of giddy about him. She meets him for the first time and she's giddy, like, oh wow, it's Joshigan, kind of thing, like you'd meet a celebrity or something like that.
Well, I think I liked Maxi's take on it in his fanfic, where she was at first in the movie and novelization, but after everything that happened, she sort of toned it down to more of a respect towards him.
Yeah, that's
a powerful adversary.
Yeah. Now in the manga, she respects him a lot, but to me, it seemed like when they had that arm wrestling match, it was a lot more contentious, But yeah, she had respect for him there too, Matter of fact, there was a panel in there where she seemed happy that there were people like him out there. At least is what I think I remember reading about that, when she just, figures out that that's who she's going to be competing with ultimately, so. But yeah, it didn't get much of anything in the movie out of this guy, except that he's number one. He's the leading contender for final champion.
Yeah, and considering he's probably going to be the one standing in her way as she tries to get up to Zalem, then it does stand to reason. I think there's going to be a big clash between the two of them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's see what Angela says about that. Yeah, they definitely need to do that. I've said in the past, a couple of times, you guys know that, a couple of months ago or a few months ago, we had that one stream to where we compared Motorball that's in Alita Battle Angel to Rollerball, which was a movie shot in the mid-'70s. And they're remarkably the same in some aspects, are different in others. But they had in that movie Rollerball, they had a 7-minute match between two teams. It was Madrid and Houston. And of course, Houston is the team that the titular character Jonathan E plays for. And he's the star, And they boiled down this Rollerball match to 7 minutes. And it kind of showed you how the game is played, how the game Rollerball is played. I would really love to see something similar to that in some ways with Motorball. Now we did see some Motorball in the movie for sure, but just kind of shots here and there or that kind of thing. And when Alita was playing Motorball in the movie, she wasn't really playing Motorball. She was playing Murderball because they were all trying to kill her, So we didn't get any feel for how the game was played or anything like that. But I would really like to see that in the movie, particularly where she is up against Joshigan. That I want to see that kind of that one-on-one, kind of matchup between the two of them with other competitors like Adjicutty and Crimson Wind and those in there, trying, and Scaramascus and then Claymore, the whole bunch, just see them all, just really get a good feel for how good they are as players, and you can only see that, of course, through what would be presented as a match, and how much better Joshigan is than the rest of them. That's kind of what I'd like seeing, how Alita can compete with him. That to me, that would be awesome. Because I'm a little bit of a sports freak anyway. I like sports. So I mean I think that's gonna be cool, So anyway, thoughts about that, guys?
I think you pretty well covered it.
Yeah, I'd like, here's to be another thing that'd be cool. If they had that arm wrestling type thing that they did in the manga, and it would be so cool to see Alita take her heart back out and says, "You can have my heart if you beat me," So, wow, that would be, that would be awesome. Because people on the movie watching that sequel could tie that back to how different it is for her to take her heart out to this guy because she's wanting to beat him.
Well, in the manga, she was telling him that if he won, to destroy
it,
to crush it.
Yeah, that's right.
So there'd be like you were saying, a bit of a tie back to the first movie where she was giving it to the man she loved, and then in this case, handing it over to a enemy to destroy.
Yeah, and just see how different that would be, but it would be still taking her heart out. God, that'd be wow, man. That'd be pretty dramatic, I think. You know. So, oh well, here's an interesting question. Who would win between Magaku or Grishka and Joshigan? I guess it would depend on what they were doing. I think in the movie, you don't get the sense that Grishka was a motorball player. Now, in the novelization, they speak to him being one of the contenders for final champion. So I guess you could say, okay, he can play motorball. I would tend to think Joshigan would win that kind of a competition, or combat. But if it was actually fighting each other, I don't know. Grishka might win that one. I think, because Joshigan's more of a sports guy, and Makaku or Grishka is more of a criminal. So I think
the thing in the manga, I kind of got the impression that motorball was basically just no holds barred fighting on a track.
Yeah.
I mean, in the manga, they were killing each other.
Yeah. Kind of like the Roman Colosseum, huh?
Yeah. So I would go with Joshigan.
Yeah, definitely on the track, I'd go with him. That's for sure.
If he's got his motorball body, even in the streets, I would still go with him anyway.
Well,
his capabilities just seemed on par with Alita's.
Yeah, probably. Maybe you're right. I think if Grishka had those grind cutters, I think he'd be tough. Although he's kind of more of a plod along type guy, isn't he? A big hulking guy. He's not very fast. You're right. Maybe Joshigan might take him out pretty easy, because Joshigan's going to have a speed advantage on him. That's for sure.
Yep. Plus, like I was saying, I mean, he took on an entire team in the manga.
Yeah.
Including Alita, and still fought them to a standstill at least. I think he actually beat them for the most part.
Yeah.
I think it was just Alita that he fought to the standstill. He beat all the rest of her teammates.
Yeah. Although I think eventually she just beat him, didn't she? I can't remember. I haven't gotten that far.
All I remember is the two of them at the end of the last fight that they had, and it seemed like it was a standstill, like it was a stalemate. Yeah. But I can't remember enough of the details.
I do. Basically, Grishka gives a final desperate uppercut right to Alita's face, and she's unconscious, and she wakes up and finds out that Joshigan died from his brain cancer while she was unconscious.
Yeah.
So in a way, she feels like, I lost, but just let him have the win, because it was the last win he ever got, and he died.
Yeah.
And now right before that, Ed got shot, putting himself in the way of a guy with a gun trying to kill Alita, because he was mad that she won. So kind of wanted to leave motorball too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Ed got killed, wasn't it? So anyway, yeah. I think you're right, Chaos. She had an immense respect for Joshigan. Didn't she have his poster up in her apartment also?
Yeah, it's in an illustration. Yeah, it's in one of the panels.
Yeah, it was after the motorball arc, when she finally got out of motorball. She had an apartment with his poster in it.
Yeah, because she really thought highly of him. Almost like another father, I guess, or big brother or something like that, maybe.
Something.
Yeah. This guy. It's going to be interesting to see how he compares in his body like he has here. Now, he'll probably have more than one body like Alita does, but in the sequel, but how he compares with Alita in Maxie's favorite body, the motorball body. So That's going to be really that's going to be an interesting matchup, I think. You know, in the sequel, I hope they stay somewhat true to the manga, like they did in the movie. You know, stay somewhat true to the manga. You know, I could see Joshigan in the sequel actually winning, you know, beating Alita, but kind of like Chaos was saying, you know, he dies. You know, he wins, but he dies. So, which, you know, I mean, that's kind of a short-lived victory celebration, maybe. But you know, I wouldn't mind seeing that, because I mean, you know, Alita is a human. She can, you know, she can definitely be beaten, you know, by some of these folks. So, you know, especially somebody like Joshigan, you know. So be neat if they got Jai Courtney to come back for that too, which I think they will, because I think he took that cameo part right there for that main reason, to see if they get a sequel, he wanted to be in it, you know. So
yeah, I think they were saying something about they were setting up a lot of these roles because they were anticipating having larger parts for them in the sequel.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, you know, when you're making films, you don't know how well it's going to do, so you be prepared if it does well, or be prepared if it doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Although they better get on the stick, because you know, with Rosa, I don't think they have a problem, because she seems to be you know, she still looks pretty good in my opinion, but she, you know, has that motion capture going for her, so you know, she could play Alita when she's 60, you know.
Yeah,
but
she was saying
these,
she could play when she's 90, because it's not going to be her physical face that you'll see.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas Jai Courtney, it's a little different. Now they could do mocap on him too, I guess. But,
yeah, they could do it on any of them.
Yeah, so. but that's going to drive the expense of the movie up too.
Unfortunately,
so, you know, yeah. And of course, you know, when Elle was on the Radio Chaos stream, she said they all had a lot of them had mocap suits on, but it was different than Rose's. You know, they didn't have the cameras in front of their face, I guess, like Rosa did. I guess I don't know. We could have asked her that, I guess. So yeah, Joshigan's pretty badass in the manga, that's for sure. He's pretty tough. You know, he'd be a worthy opponent. You know, in the sequel for our girl. You know, I mean, for sure. So. Okay, any more thoughts about him? We didn't have much to talk about on him because we don't have much to go on except what's in the manga, I guess.
Yeah, not yet anyway.
And the anime doesn't have anything about Motorball in it, so that I can remember. I've only seen it once, but I don't remember seeing any Motorball in there.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, well, this guy, you know, Kanuba, certainly in the manga, he gets killed by Makaku, you know, but
yeah, he ate his insides.
Yeah, that's right. But in the movie, of course, Vector kills him, you know, because they want to get those grind cutters over to Gorwishka. But you know, I do
also stop him from upsetting the odds too.
Yeah, that's right, because he said he was screwing up the odds. Well, for one thing, I guess. I guess Vector's team, he was controlling them to the point where he was making money on it. He'd tell some of them to lose and some to win, but Kanuba was upsetting that because he was winning, you know. And I don't know,
Vector tries to tightly control the way the games go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the thing about, I don't know if you saw this, but there was that scene where Vector was telling Shirin that he was screwing up the odds, and they had a kind of a back shot of him. And they had like a little scoreboard there that showed Kanuba moving up from third to second, and Joshigan was first. I mean, if you pause that, you'll see it. It's only on for like maybe a second, so you have to kind of be on the lookout for it. But Joshigan's in first place, but Kanuba moves up to second place by winning this particular Motorball match that we saw in the movie. You know, when he took the ball from Adjicutty, you know, slicing him to pieces and grabbing the ball and skating across the end of the finish line with it, he wins the match and moves up to second place right behind Joshigan, you know. But in the in the novelization, he is a consummate motorball player himself. And in the Kansas bar, they have a little, kind of an explanation in there about the Kansas bar. The only real people that are welcomed by the folks that frequent it are certainly hunter warriors and motorball paladins, which is what they're called in the novelization. And
I think they call them paladins in the manga too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and they, I guess these guys, these players that go in there, and all these hunter warriors and other paladins that buy them drinks. Especially if they won, they'd buy them drinks. And I guess the women that frequent the bar, of course, would leave with some of them that were doing well or something like that. And of course, we remember him coming out of the Kansas bar. He had 3 of them,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he was quite popular. Kanuba was, and then of course the Jackers got a hold of him, and and then of course Vector did him in.
Yep.
But in the novelization, he wins like, I don't know how many races in a row. I want to say like 12 in a row, but I don't know about that for sure. But yeah, he basically is a really good motorball player, and of course those grind cutters make him even more powerful, where he can shoot them out like that. Because in the game, any kind of projectile weapon, where they shoot a bullet or something like that, that's illegal.
Yeah, but these remain connected to the body. So
that's exactly right. They were still part of him, so it was okay. It wasn't illegal. I know the announcer says, those grind cutters even legal? Well, yeah, they were,
Mm-hmm.
But Vector didn't like it too much because he was taking money out of his pocket. And they even mentioned that in the novelization, that Kanuba was costing him money because he kept winning. And in the novelization, Vector offers him, he said, if you'll just take a dive in a couple of races, I'll give you a guarantee that you'll race in the next season or next 5 races or whatever. And Kanuba's thought was, hey, I'm winning anyway. I'm winning every race. Well, I don't need your guarantee. I'm going to win anyway. That's how confident he was as a motorball player. So
it does seem to indicate a bit of naivety, though, that he didn't realize that Vector pretty much ran the whole sport. So,
yeah.
Well, he got to his head, but but then Vector quoted Rollerball. He quoted Rollerball by saying no one is greater than the game. That's a quote from Rollerball with James Caan.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, because that's right. John Houseman said the same thing. He played Bartholomew in Rollerball, and he basically said the same thing. Nobody's more important in the game, and that's what Vector said. So, of course, in Rollerball, Jonathan he defies Bartholomew, and he actually ends up. Well, I don't know if he wins or not, because the end of the movie, I don't want to give it away, but he survives. But
no, we don't get to give the ending away. Watch Rollerball.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Watch Rollerball. So, but anyway, But Kanuba, I think, it's like you say, Chaos. He was kind of full of himself because he kept winning. He thought he was indestructible, I guess. And Vector had to. I guess he figured he's taking money out of my pocket, and I got to take him down a few notches, which. I guess he took him down a whole bunch of notches, I mean, killing him, as they ended that, And there was a couple other little spots there in the movie, if you notice, that Hugo actually had when Alita comes out and watches them play motorball on the street, Hugo was wearing a shirt that had 55 on it, which was Kanuba's number. And then, of course, in the match where Alita is supposedly going to try out for second league, Gerhard also had
I noticed that she had a jersey on with Kanuba's name on it.
Yeah, Kanuba's name and number 55 on the front. So that's kind of a couple of little tie-ins there, I guess. So he was a pretty popular player, I think. In that world for motorball. So I think he's a little bit stupid, in terms of not realizing who's running the game and stuff like that.
Or at the very least, blinded by his own ego.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much for him because we didn't have a lot to go on with him either. Even, I mean, not much more than we had with, I guess, Joshigan. I think he only had 2 lines or 3, or maybe 3 lines, something like he told the jackers he was going to crush their skulls. He said, "What the hell is this?" When they, wrapped those chains around him, and of course, when he told Vector, he said, "Vector, you prick! I knew it was you." But he had speaking part, whereas Joshigan didn't, But that's pretty much all we had to go on with this guy.
Well, Joshigan did, but it was mostly off camera, and it was mainly just to his pit crew talking about some problem he was having.
Yeah, he did say he was having trouble with his camera, didn't he? And it made him oversteer.
So it wasn't really, it wasn't really anything big or anything.
Yeah, that's right. So.
We did see him on the track briefly. He took the brief hit on the shoulder, but he went to the pit crew. That was it.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, I recognize it because how Josh Gunn has that kind of helmet on during a motorball game in the manga. He had the same one in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It was very distinctive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm saying it's kind of similar to the French knights' helmets from the Renaissance or medieval times, where it's like that. It's like, I'm not saying shit, but that kind of you know what I'm saying.
Square kind of looking.
Square, square helmet. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along here to Kramaza. He is, of course, he's a hunter warrior. He was in the murder ball. He was in that supposed tryout, but he's not I didn't get the impression he's really a motorball player. He's a hunter warrior is what he is. And I think he's one of Elle said that her and Stinger, and I think it was Stinger, and this guy here, were all like, 3 hunter warriors that kind of, palled around together, and that was at least the intent in the movie. And so he's in the, he's in the Kansas bar and he's sitting there taking this all in. Of course, he ends up getting in the fight with the rest of them. But he didn't have any speaking parts, He made an impact on the film for sure because he was in the motorball, that final motorball game, I guess. And one thing I noticed about this guy is that if you noticed his legs, his feet, they were kind of like what you have today with people who have had, have lost a leg, and they get, kind of one of those artificial legs, and it has what looks
like leaf spring prosthetic.
Exactly. It's that leaf spring attachment, and he had the same thing in this particular in the bar itself. Now, certainly in the in the motorball tryout murder ball game, he was on wheels, obviously, but he's definitely a hunter warrior. He makes his money going after criminals for sure. And, I would say the hunter warriors were probably not much better than criminals themselves, probably. But, he's definitely a total replacement cyborg. You can see there. He's, now, of course, they got him made up, like that, but because we can't tell if his right arm is a human arm or not. That could be still material. But I'd say he's enough of a cyborg, that he is. You could consider him a TR.
The elbow joint looks artificial there, and the shoulder certainly looks to be at least partly artificial.
Yeah, and especially on his left arm for sure is artificial because it's got that. Yeah. I'm not sure what that little, kind of attachment coming out of there. It looks like it's some kind of adjustment looking thing that you could twist or something like that. I'm not sure, but. He's got that Omega sign on his forehead. That's just kind of interesting. So, but he looks pretty badass, doesn't he? So
a bit, yeah.
Yeah, Alita pretty much throws him around though in the fight. She throws him into the other three other guys in there. And she just did it with ease. It looked like, and then of course, he tries to cut her down on the track. And she ducks under his. swings at him and then knocks the crap out of him with the motor ball. So, that was, and then of course he ends up dying. Of course he gets caught up in after, I guess, Screwhead, shoots that grappling chain into that, what looks like a sewage pipe to me. I wouldn't want to have to skate through that. But anyway,
yeah.
It looks like some kind of waste or something because it was corroding.
Yeah, and it was green coming out of there, which
It's like the acid tank from RoboCop.
Yeah, it was like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but he didn't have any speaking parts, but he was definitely a badass in that movie for sure. I don't recall I don't believe is he in the manga? I don't remember him being in the manga.
I can't recall.
Yeah, there were several.
Too long since I've read it.
Yeah, there's several of those characters that they put in the movie that were not in the manga. So I don't know. Any more thoughts about this guy? So we don't have a lot to go on. Okay, I guess we move on to the next one now. This guy here, we definitely got to see him in the sequel.
Oh yeah.
This guy, that's Mateague here in the movie. In the manga, his name is Murdoch.
Yeah.
He's got all
father
those
to Sarah.
Yeah, that's right. He's Sarah's dad. That's right. Who actually takes up with Zapan, I guess, and then of course that doesn't work out. Yeah. Read the manga and you'll find out. I'll take Chaos's word on this one. Read the manga. But anyway, but anyway, I really like this actor too, Jeff Fahey. He is really good. I remember seeing him in a film a long time ago called Silverado. And he played an outlaw named Tyree in that thing. And man, he was badass in that movie, as a badass outlaw, in that one, So Silverado, I know it's kind of an old movie, guys, but, I would, if you like Westerns, that's a really good one to watch, I think. It's got, certainly got Jeff Fahey and it's got Kevin Costner in it. And, oh gosh, Kevin Kline's in it, and not Sam Shepard, but gosh, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, it's got a bunch of really good actors in there, and Jeff Fahey plays Tyree in that one. He's real good, and he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in The Walking Dead too, I think, wasn't he? If I'm not sure, I didn't really watch any Walking Dead, but I heard he was in that. So, and I guess Elle told us that these dogs were not CG. Now, certainly they're CG'd in terms of them looking like that. I mean, we don't have any dogs on the planet that look like that, but they probably, got some, CG'd over the real dog, so there's real dogs there, for sure,
Yeah.
But, this guy he's a hunter warrior for sure. He has nothing to do with motorball, but you can see he's got 4 pretty tough looking animals there, or I guess, I don't know if they're animals or not.
They're implied to be dogs with brains, but they're machine dogs. Glory, Valor, Fury, Hubris.
Yeah, that's right.
The 4 dogs.
Yeah.
And the funny part in this scene is that Zapan was talking about how his dogs tend to eat his prize up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Or tears them apart so badly, there's no way to identify them.
Yeah, exactly.
Zapan said they eat his prize, and I'm just okay. They eat it.
Well,
I didn't catch that part.
Well, what he said, I guess, was that his biggest problem is having enough left to identify the bounty. So I guess the dogs do kind of eat a bunch of them, don't they? So, although I don't know why a cyborg or you wouldn't call them androids, but a robot dog would want to eat flesh because they don't have that kind of system, But hey, they tear them up pretty good, I think. No, Finestro, I am not Scottish, so it wouldn't be McCreaky. That's a good one though, McCreaky.
Well, yeah.
And I don't eat McDonald's either. So anyway, but yeah, this guy's got to come back in the sequel. You know, he definitely does. I want to see, well, that whole storyline that he would be involved with between Zapan and Sarah, that he would be instrumental in that line, you know. And I want to see
that. And Kuyomi is a little kid in the manga, checking, you know, trying to play with his dog. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, these dogs are they're badass, but you know, when that little stray came up to him, I got the impression, you know, that these dogs would probably be okay with kids. You know, they would probably play with kids.
Like maybe they're trained to go after like cyborgs or something.
Either trained or go after anybody McTeague tells them to go after. You know,
I can believe it. I mean, sometimes police dogs are like trained to obey specific orders. Like sometimes they do a specific language or specific code words for a police dog to be obeyed.
Yeah. But I want to see him, you know, like he did in the manga, where he goes after a mark, I guess, you know, and the dogs go after him and stuff like that. You got to see a little bit of this in the sequel, you know. That was cool how they went after Gowishka, those dogs. Yeah, Gowishka, he was smart to get out of there. I think, you know, those dogs would have probably done a number on him, probably, especially since he was on fire. You know, that wouldn't have worked.
Well, there were four dogs coming after him all at once.
Yeah, that's going to be a little much, I think.
Well, put in mind they can bite, they can like go for your legs and all the other stuff. They can attack. They strike well. That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. You know that, and their bite force is probably much greater than a dog.
Well, see a little hydraulic piston that one and the dog in the left.
Yes,
the hydraulic piston in his jaw.
Yeah, yeah, I would not want to have my arm in that mouth, that's for sure. Because you would definitely lose an arm and then you'd have to become a cyborg yourself. So anyway, but yeah, Jeff Fahey's great. He's really super. I like that guy. He's a really good
He was in Lost as the pilot.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah, he was in, that's right. Angela said he was also in Lawnmower Man. Yeah, he plays a guy. Yeah, I saw that movie. He and Young Guns. Yeah, he was in that one too. Lawnmower Man. He plays this guy that cuts yards, I guess, all the time. And I can't remember if he had gone for experiments at the university or something like that, or some college with some doctor or something. I can't remember exactly, but somehow he acquires his intelligence evolves, you know, to the point where he has these super mental powers and stuff like that. So it's really pretty well done, the movie. It's a good story too, you know. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. Okay, I guess we can move right along here because we don't have much to say about him. He was only in maybe a couple of segments. This one right here, we probably won't see her in the sequel because certainly she, you know, Alita does her in. But you know, this is another one that I don't know if she was a cyborg or an android. I'm not sure which. You know, certainly, you know, going by there being no red blood when her head's up on the wall, you know, and her body's on the floor.
She's the first blue blood in the movie.
Yeah, in the novelization, they talk about her as being like an insectoid, you know, and she certainly looks like it right there, you know. But you know, this person's a good actor too, and gosh, what is her name? It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Nisiana.
Yeah, Nisiana. Yeah, but what's her real name? I can't remember now.
I don't think she cares anymore.
Yeah, maybe not. You know, but she's been in some other stuff too. I think she was in that movie with, gosh, who was it? It was, I guess, Dwayne Johnson or The Rock and Jason Statham. She was in that movie.
No, Bloodshot. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. And she was in, I guess she was in that Machete Kills movie. I think she was in that one. I think she was in Machete too, the first movie. So Angela said, Eza Gonzalez, that's right.
Oh, right. And the Machete ones are also directed by Rodriguez.
Yeah, yeah. And Angela says she was also in King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't remember that, Angela, so I'll have to go back and take another look at that, you know. But yeah, she was, wow, she was pretty badass in Alita Battle Angel, wasn't she? She's, you know, with those blades and all that stuff, you know. I mean, I think she also underestimated Alita. You know, she just thought, you know, this is just a little teenage girl. I'm going to be able to hack her up without any problem. You know, wow, wrong. So, but yeah, yeah, Eza Gonzalez is also really good. She's a good actor, you know, that's for sure. She's been in a lot of movies too, you know. So, but we don't have a lot to go on with her. We just don't.
I mean, in the original manga, we had the mutant, but we didn't know much about her either.
Yeah, and I think that was
and Ida was trying to kill her.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we don't have much to go on with her. This one. Now we definitely have something to go on with her because she not only is a hunter warrior, but she's also you know, can play motorball, you know. And of course, Elle told us a lot about her here about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I guess. But you know, she's definitely a cyborg. You know, I got a human brain, I guess, and yeah, she's got those 4 arms. That was really funny how we talked about that on the stream. You know, oh wow, okay, Angelus, going back to Nisiana, I guess. Yeah, she's hot. There's no doubt about it. You know, she was an ambulance. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. But anyway, Screwhead, yeah, I think Screwhead played a major role in this. I mean, she was one of the last 3 cyborgs that were chasing Alita, you know, when she was trying to get to Hugo, you know. Yeah, and that's right, Angelus. El Lamont, yeah, you missed the first part of the stream here. Yeah, El Lamont's going to be in Salvage Marines. We kind of chatted about that at the beginning. But anyway, yeah, she's chasing her and Stinger and Kramaza was all chasing Alita at the end, and of course Kramaza he falls off of those tubes and he, you know, plummets to his death, I guess. And then of course Nisiana gets cut to pieces by Stinger, who wasn't paying attention when he slammed his blades down. And then of course Alita kills Stinger by, you know, sending his butt through a crusher, you know. So that kind of ended the 3 of them, you know, I guess. But she's definitely a cyborg, you know. And what was an interesting story about it too, you see that appliance on her head. I remember Elle telling us that she had to be on guard with her eyebrow, because if she moved her eyebrow, the appliance would move, which would destroy the whole look, you know, because that appliance is supposed to be solid in her skull, you know. So if she kind of moved her eyebrow and that thing moved, it was like, oh wow, that's fake, you know. So, you know, she had to kind of pay attention to that, I guess. So if you don't find a dead body, okay, they might still be alive. That's a good point, Destiny Nova, because one of the things we conjectured on that stream was that she was cut in half for sure, but her core looked like it was still intact, and her head certainly was still intact. So she could make a comeback. And as a matter of fact, what I think we ought to be doing when they greenlight the sequel is we start a mass tweet saying we want Elle to come back as Screwhead. So, you know, I think that's something we ought to really keep in mind, that we want that to happen, you know, because actually Elle's our second girl. She's our other girl, as they would say. But boy, she looks badass. And if I was a mark, if I was a criminal and she was after me, I would be in big trouble. Anybody would be in big trouble with that after you right there, you know. So any thoughts about her, guys?
Yeah, nothing off the top of my head.
Yeah, she didn't have any speaking parts, so we didn't have much of a backstory or anything about her, so we don't have much to go on. Okay. All right. I'll ask for some medicine. I can do that. Oh, boy. And there's Stinger, of course, and kind of like Screwhead and the rest of some of the others. He had absolutely no speaking parts at all. So we don't know anything about this guy. I mean, he wasn't, I don't think he was even in the Kansas bar. He was just at the motorball track, obviously. But I think him and Mace, I guess it was, were criminals. And the rest of them were hunter warriors. I remember that Ito said that those two punks in the back are marks. You know, they have bounty marks on them, and the others are hunter warriors. You know,
so they were just trying to buy their way out of a mark.
Yeah, that's right. So they get that 500,000, of course, and they they can definitely get their names off the list in terms of having the bounty on them.
How crooked.
Yes. Yeah, that's a hell of a justice system, isn't it?
I'd probably refer to it more as a legal system, not so much a justice system.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it's odd when you think about it, but then you got to realize it was kind of it's like Judge Dredd. You had a very twisted society that led to that.
Yep.
Oh, here's something interesting. I'm glad old Maxie's still out there. Robert Rodriguez told Elle that Screwhead survived. Cool.
Yeah, I kind of figured she did. She didn't look like she got hit through the core or anything like that. So
yeah, that's right. So excellent. Yeah, we're going to see her again. That's cool. Okay, so we don't have much to say about Stinger here, and I guess Zapan. Now, this is somebody we definitely got to see in the sequel, because first of all, he's going to take up with Sarah, so we want to see that arc. Actually, this is going to be.
I kind of think that the Zapan arc is probably going to be enough to require most of a movie on its own.
Yeah, that's why the Creek thinks we're going to have at least 3 movies. So there you have it. But anyway, Zapan arc. If they were to try to put the Zapan arc and the Motorball arc in one movie, it's got to be 3 hours. There's no way you could do it less than that. Otherwise, they're going to need 3 movies. So, that's just the way it is. But he's also a TR. Now you can see he doesn't have an antimatter microreactor heart, so he's not going to have the power that Alita has, and we saw that in the movie. I mean, she beat the crap out of him, in the bar, and certainly sliced his face off at the end. Although wouldn't be much of a fight, Yeah. Oh, not yeah. That's good, Lee. Yeah, I guess you were responding to Destiny Nova with saying anybody want to donate a face, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking no.
No, I don't think so. I think Zapan, you just have to sew that back on, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe the face he has now as a TRC is synthetic, anyways.
Yeah, probably so. I just probably glue it back on.
I would just have him go to the factory and get a new one molded.
Yeah,
it gets awkward when you try to super glue something that's cracked.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, seeing this as a Pan arc, we got to see him. First of all, I want to see him working in that soup kitchen or whatever it was with Sarah. He was doing that, and he eventually he sees Alita competing in a motorball game and he loses it. His brain.
Yeah, I think it was an advertisement or something like that of one of Alita's previous games.
Yeah, exactly. So he just goes sideways.
Sends him off the deep end. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, he goes sideways on everybody, and then he gets the berserker body, doesn't he? And then he grows.
Well, okay. The ugly fat butler picks his head up out of the sewer and sticks it in there. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's right. And he he's this huge monster and he destroys like a third of Iron City.
Well, he starts out about the same size, but he keeps absorbing material into the berserker body. Like he consumes it like the blob. That's it.
Yeah.
The blob.
Yeah. So, and he destroys almost half of the damn city, or in the course the scrapyard, I guess, in the manga, you know. And then, of course, Alita, well, you guys need to read the manga, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But, yeah, we got to see this guy again. You know, I think I saw in an interview, Ed Skrein said he wanted to come back for a sequel. He wanted to see what Zapan would be like in the berserker body. Now, I don't suspect that they'll have him grow into a big monster like they did. That's going to be a little.
Oh, they can always use miniatures and motion capture.
They could, you know, but I think what they might do is kind of put his head on the berserker body, and then he just has a lot of power, and he goes around killing a bunch of people.
I want to have that skull. I mean, you saw that skull on his back. I want that foreshadowing to come true.
hang it up in your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but this guy, you know, is not all bad, really. I mean, he's kind of a prick, I guess.
Well, there may not be much. He may not be all bad, but there ain't much good about him.
No, that's true. You know, he's more bad than good. But when he was with Sarah, you know, seemed to be kind of calming down, and
yeah, she brought out a better side of him,
his best side of him. And then, of course, when he goes off the deep end because he sees Alita, he kills Sarah, doesn't he? And then then he goes nuts. I mean, even more nuts, I think.
Yeah. Well, he unintentionally kills Sarah because of his freak out.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what he does. So, but
I think he also unintentionally killed one of Sarah's assistants that was working at the soup kitchen with him.
Yeah, and he also kills. Well, no, let's not say anymore. We're going to destroy. We're going to mess up the manga here. You know. So, oh yeah, this is a good point. Yeah, kind of like the Joker. Although I think Destiny Nova's got a lot more abilities than the Joker does. I think the Joker's just a psychotic criminal. But yeah, I could see the parallels. You betcha.
I think Cannibal Lecter when I think Destiny Nova.
Well, I don't know. You know, I guess Nova X.
Not cannibalistic, but he really dislikes torturing people really bad.
Yeah, that's right. He has nothing on you. That's right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we got to see the Zapan arc. You know, that's one of the reasons the Creek thinks we need several movies, because, you know, it's just going to be too much to put the Zapan arc and the Motorball arc in one movie. It's going to be way too much. So, you know, and Ed Skrein says he wants to do it. So, well,
I wouldn't mind seeing him in return. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked his character. You know, he's yeah, he's he's kind of evil in a weird way, you know, I guess. Okay, any more thoughts about this guy? Be neat to see a little bit of a backstory on him too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be nice to see a little bit of his backstory fleshed out, at least a little bit.
Yeah, because, you know, in those extras, he talks about how eventually when you become a total replacement cyborg, you forget what having a real body feels like, or a human body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
He talks about some of the advantages of being a full conversions or total replacement cyborg, like no body odor, no bad breath.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about a lot of the more embarrassing functions of an organic body and whatnot. Although everything does end up feeling, your sense of touch gets reduced quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, you would think so.
I'm surprised they even have a sense of touch, though. So they must have some advanced sensors embedded in a lot of these limbs that they don't.
Well, you know, Alita had what she called those texture sensors.
She had a higher density of
force
tactile
feedback.
Sensors.
Yeah. She wanted to test some things out, you know. Yeah, she did. Oh boy. Okay, so anyway, here's some other cyborgs we didn't go over because I just, you know, gonna be too many slides here, you know. But I guess Adjicutty, Now, to me, I don't know what you guys thought of him in the bar, because he was sitting up there at the front. And when the fight was going on, he was just kind of sitting there watching it. Like he was just amused or something, not amused, but just kind of observing it or something. It looked like to me he had a human body. Now it could, they could make I guess they could make that body look somewhat human by whatever clothes he puts on. But
a combination of the clothes and probably the synth skin if it's a high enough quality.
Yeah, probably so, And then of course there's Amok, that I guess he's more than 50% cyborg, but to me it looked like a lot of his body was human. I don't know. I mean, why would unless you got a human brain, you wouldn't need drugs. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, and Claymore, we didn't have him in there. And I guess Claymore probably survived. Edgecutty definitely survived, even though he got chopped to bits. Of course they just put his core, because when he came apart, you could see his head, his core was still intact. So would probably come back. Plus, in the sequel, he ends up on Alita's team. Yeah. And then of course there's Exploder, and I guess that what's his name, Todd Waters or something like that, said that Exploder. That Robert Rodriguez told him Exploder lived to fight another day. And then, of course, that guy Gangsta. Now, in the movie, I think he was referred to as Antioch, but that's that dude that had the accidental punch with Screwhead.
In the bar,
yeah, in the bar. And then Romo, of course, we're not going to see him. He's Gonzo. Scaramascus, we'll see. Now, one I don't have up there is Crimson Wind. We'll have to see her too.
Was Master Clive Lee also a full?
He didn't look like one to me.
He didn't appear to be in the group.
Oh,
he said there's no point. There's no value in this guy. He's not documented. I'm not bothering.
Yeah,
but I could see him showing up in the second film to be killed by somebody.
Oh yeah, I think he definitely will be in the second movie. Clive Lee will, yeah. For sure. Because what would be the coolest thing, though, is to see Alita challenging, Alita's team, and then maybe Joshigan putting together a team. Of course, in the manga, they all fight Joshigan by themselves, but But in the movie, they'll probably have teams. So you would have Joshigan, pick 3 other motor ballers, and then Alita would pick, at least if they stick somewhat to the manga or the novelization or whatever. She would have Adjicutty and Crimson Wind and maybe Screwhead, as her teammates, to compete against Joshigan's team. That'd be kind of cool, to see that. So anyway, any other? I can't think of any other cyborgs. I accidentally left Crimson Wind off of there, but she's definitely a total replacement cyborg. They had one shot of Crimson Wind, and I stopped it, and it looked like a white dude to me. But in the novelization, it's a black girl. So I don't know how they're, I guess it doesn't matter. They can still make her a black girl in the sequel. So, but is there any other cyborgs? Am I missing anything?
I guess the thing is, well, these are for later on. But what if you're augmented on the inside, but on the outside you're still yourself? Is that some kind of cyborg? I guess I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, I got a friend. He lives in Oregon. He has a pacemaker. Technically, he's a cyborg.
I was also thinking the shock implants that epileptics have too. But
yeah, technically they're cyborgs because they got to have that system, to keep them alive. They would be like a 1% cyborg, maybe something like that. But yeah, I think you could be a mostly human, but have a significant cyborg parts, like maybe have two bionic arms as an example, or say, or like the character Cyborg, in the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's mostly human. He's got one arm that's that's bionic, I guess, or system.
Right.
And he's got one leg that's that way, and the rest of him's covered in this. I don't know if it's nanotech or whatever it is. So, he's a cyborg. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him a total replacement cyborg, but he's definitely a cyborg, I think. Maxie says he's a cyborg. Yeah, cool, Maxie. Does me having a Fitbit make me a cyborg? No, I think not. So,
is it attached?
Well, it's on my arm right now, but no, it's not physically attached to me.
Well, if it were integrated into your body, it probably would make you one.
It would be, but it's not. So, that's the way it goes. Well, Hugo,
well, he was almost a complete total replacement cyborg at the end,
wasn't he? But he died. Yeah, that's right. Good point, Angelus. That's a good catch. I saw him mostly as a human in the movie, but you're right. He was a total replacement cyborg at the end. Yes, he was. Now he lasted how long? A few hours before he got chopped to bits by that defense ring. But yeah, you're right. He was a total replacement cyborg. Yeah, good catch, Angelus. So that's why we also need Angelus on the stream here, because he catches stuff that I miss. That's for sure. Of course, he's at work, so that's he can't do it. So okay, guys, is there anything else? God, we're at 2 hours, so yeah, we've done pretty good, I think. I think we spent 35, 40 minutes talking about Alita. Of course we did. So
yeah.
Yeah, did we miss anything?
I think that's it for at least, because we can spend 6 hours if we want to do the original series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely we could. And yes, Alita loves her Uncle Creek. Okay, so here's our Queen Rosa. Once again, check out Undone Season 2. It's really good. I've seen the first 3 episodes. It's great. It's really super good. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I'll probably watch some more of it this weekend, and I highly recommend it. It's got really good ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. So go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime, or Prime Video actually. And of course, Rosa's #1 in the Creeks book in terms of being an actor. I mean, she's great. She is Alita. So,
yep.
Okay, guys. Anyway, I guess Angelus or Maxie on here, so I'll have to talk about it. Now, I'm not going to be the stream manager tomorrow, but I am going to be there. So, what we're going to talk about on Radio Chaos episode 121 is going to be what if Shirin, instead of Ito, Shirin finds Alita in the scrapyard at the beginning of the movie.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, how would Alita be different? Personally, I think she might start out different, but I think she would end up pretty much where she is. That's my opinion. But I'm going to leave the details for tomorrow, because she does remember stuff as she goes along, But yeah, check this one out. I think this is going to be a pretty neat discussion. I think, instead of Ito holding her up in the scrapyard, Shirin holds her up in the scrapyard. What does that mean? What is Alita going to be like? Is she going to be more like Grishka in the beginning? Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Who knows? And then, I mean, she technically lost a kid too. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, she would be. That'd be similar, I guess. In terms
Would one
of
aspect of the topic be what if Shirin and Ito changed places? Would that be one aspect of the?
We could definitely talk about that tomorrow, for sure. I'm not sure who's going to host this, whether it's going to be Maxie or Angelus.
Oh, Angelus says he's main hosting.
Oh, okay. Angelus is hosting. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Maxie is going to be unavailable with family obligations, I guess we'd say. Yeah, that good point, Angelus. Anybody that wants to come on to talk about this, I think our guest list is going to be a little thin. We might. I don't know. I'm not hosting. I mean, I'm not stream manager tomorrow, but I would say that maybe Tony can maybe put the link in the chat, but we'll see.
Sure.
Okay. Any more thoughts about this topic, guys? Just to lead us into it, or are we pretty much done, I think?
Well, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
I think I'm finished.
All righty. Okay. Why is this image here? Well, this image is here because the Creek likes it, and I'm running this stream. And paraphrase Gruishka, the guy we talked about a little earlier, I'm only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, all of us here are only here for our girl. So anyway, because we want that sequel. That's definitely what we want. So.
Oh, yeah.
You betcha. So I guess we'll finish up with our call to action, and that would be on my count of 3, as you can see there. 1, 2, 3. Film
those sequels, baby.
And I guess see you later next week on the next Alita live stream, and we'll see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos.
All righty then.